Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and as ever I'm joined by Fantasy Football Scout's editor Neale to discuss the latest team news and injury developments. Neale, welcome. How are you?
Very busy, Joe, yeah, with the midday deadline, the first one of the season. We've got team news from 16 teams, actually not the full complement, because 4 of the teams are playing on Thursday night, so their press conferences are tomorrow.
Okay.
But I will round up what we know already for those 4.
Okay, just before we go on, just a reminder, do press that like button, does help us out. And also do remember to subscribe to keep updated with our latest videos and podcasts. Welcome to Tony, FPL Big Head, Parkham, Anil, FPL Alexander Arnold, Ross, Get Carter, Balkan, Rodrev, and many more. Thanks so much for joining us early on. Okay, let's race through these then. So we've got the first one is Ipswich against Crystal Palace. What's the latest from Ipswich? The first match of midweek game week 14.
Yeah, they've got a long-term injury in defence now with Twanzebe. He's going to be out for a big chunk of the season, said McKenna, with a hamstring problem. So he joins Hurst and Ogbenny on the injury list. McKenna says they've got a couple of other knocks that they're monitoring. And on top of that, there's the existing ones for Phillips and Johnson. They're both trained. They'll both be back with game week 15 at the latest. It's just whether they'll be involved tomorrow. Tonight, sorry.
Okay, and as for Crystal Palace, what's the latest from them?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything changed on the injury front. So Riyad, Franca still out. Too soon for Wharton. He should be back sooner rather than later. Kamada's still suspended as well. But the line of note probably from that press conference was that Glasner said that Eze is okay to start again.
Okay.
But might not obviously last the full 90 minutes. But he's probably going to start by the sounds of it.
Okay, rightio. Could be. He's highlighted in one of my videos earlier this week. Crystal Palace are actually okay for rotation at the moment, and then they've got quite a nice run towards the end of December. So they're sort of one to monitor at the moment, particularly perhaps with their defenders who are doing well at the moment in FPL. Leicester against West Ham, first game for Van Nistelrooy in charge for Leicester. Hopefully he's had something to say about injuries. Usually with a new manager, they just talk about sort of them being the new manager. But yeah, what's the latest?
Yeah, I was expecting that yesterday, actually, but thankfully someone did ask the question. So Oakley, he came off on Saturday, but he's avoided any sort of serious injury, just a clash in knees. But he's since returned to training, so he should be okay.
Okay.
Winks, probably going to be too soon for him. He's just an individual training. But again, not a serious problem. He should be back pretty soon. But there are longer-term ones, of course, with Fatawu, Stolarczyk and Pereira.
Okay, oakley dokley. Let's move on to West Ham.
Yes, we have a long-awaited return of Fulkrug on the horizon. Probably not tonight, but should be within the next couple of weeks. He's been out since September with an Achilles issue. Todibo is going to be assessed. He had the same problem that forced him off against Newcastle. Was re-aggravated in the loss to Arsenal, so they're going to assess him. And they do welcome back Mohamed Kudus as well. He has been on an extended 5-match ban. It was 3, but there was added another 2 on the end of that. So he is available.
Okay.
Whether he goes back into the starting lineup is another question.
Okay, yeah, there will be interest in West Ham. They've got a nice little fixture on at the moment, obviously starting with this Leicester game. Everton against Wolves. Poor form from Everton at the moment. Wolves, good attacking form, but defensive. We might see a Calvert-Lewin goal. Who knows? What's the latest from Everton?
Well, he's got another competitor as Calvert-Lewin because Armando Broja could be in the squad for the first time since his move. He played for the under-21s on Friday, and he should be involved. It's too soon for Chimiti, who's another forward they've got. He's on the cusp of a return from injury again, but he's just a little bit behind Broja. Coleman was on the bench last weekend ahead of expected, so there's just 2 players who are truly injured, and that is James Garner and Tim Urugbunen.
Rightio. And as for Wolves, they usually got quite a clean bill of health. But yeah, there is a change, we think.
Yeah, there's no new injury issues, at least as far as I've seen. But Semedo is banned, so they do lose 1 player this weekend. 5 yellow cards for him. Again, as you said there, you're usually a clean bill of health, apart from the long-term ones, of course. And they include the likes of Traore and Gonzalez and Mosquera.
Okay, rightio. We're rattling through these because you've got to get back to writing all the
I
articles
have.
for the deadline. Man City against Nottingham Forest. This might be where we slow down proceedings.
Yeah.
What's the latest Magnus opus from Pep about Man City?
Well, he actually did give us some team news today, which was good of him. John Stones is going to miss out today, sorry, tomorrow, and probably game week 15 as well. The
Mm,
foot injury that he's had recently, it's sort of reared its head again, so that's going to rule him out for the next two, by the sounds of it. Kovacic, Rodri, and Bob, of course, still injured as well.
mhm,
Couple of questions away from the injury front. One was on goalkeepers because Edison was benched at the weekend.
mhm.
And Guardiola said Alisson still is number one, but maybe Stefan continues tomorrow in the next game. So he left
Okay.
that one a bit open to interpretation. And he was also asked about Kevin De Bruyne as well, who we haven't actually seen in the starting
Mm,
11 since he came back from injury. He just had a lot of substitute appearances. But he did say that he's even better in the last few days, that he's closer than before. So we might see him here. This is the kind of fixture you would play him, I think, against a very deep block of
okay.
Forest, so he
Okay.
might appear.
Think we'll see Rico Lewis in the starting lineup?
I don't know. He's kind of been a bit of a wild card in the last few weeks because he's played as an orthodox midfielder. He's played as a
Yeah.
fullback. He was on the wing
Yeah.
against Arsenal. So that was the only, I think, starting 11
Okay.
prediction I got wrong the weekend was Lewis starting on the right wing.
Right.
Don't think anybody saw coming.
No.
So I mean, Walker was poorly again, and I think he's got a better chance of starting this
Okay.
time,
Okay.
Lewis, than he did have
Yeah.
last week when he did
Just
start.
us, myself included, but many other people, many other teams. Our defences aren't good, so we might have to rely on him. As for Nottingham Forest, what's the latest?
Yeah, Nuno went early. He was speaking to the media yesterday. Nothing much happening there on the team news front. They've just got Danilo and Sangari out, and they've been out for a while.
Okay.
Danilo's in training, but he's not quite ready,
Right.
and that's it.
Okay, just a quick question from Ikra in the live chat. Is it a double game week? No, it may look like it. If it looks like a double game week, smells like a double game week. In this case, it actually isn't a double game week. It's game week 13. This is game week 14. It's just a midweek lot of fixtures. They're all on Amazon Prime. So that's probably the reason for it. And then we've got game week 15 coming up at this weekend. So none of them are joined. They're all completely separate game weeks there. Newcastle versus Liverpool. This looks like a good one. This is why I'm an Amazon Prime member, so I'll probably watch this one, I think. Newcastle against Liverpool. What's the latest from Newcastle? And how is Howe doing in his quest to become a sort of amateur Arteta in subterfuge?
Well, I think I will point to the fact that he's probably been doing it even longer than Arteta. He's one of the OGs, was Eddie Howe when he was at Bournemouth, and he was giving us tough
The
information.
original
Uh,
liar.
He was at the OL, yeah, yeah, and he's been at it today again. He says that Alexander Isak hasn't been in training yet. They don't think it's a long-term injury, and they're going to see about peer management and how quickly it settles down. But as I mentioned in the team news roundup, it was slightly undermined by Isak declaring himself fit yesterday in an interview with
Yeah.
television.
That's
So he
like
might as well have not bothered.
the equivalent of an Arteta press conference. Oh, we'll have to wait and see for Saka. And then Saka comes bounding into the press conference,
Yeah,
cartwheeling in, saying, "I'm fine, I'm fine."
I
So
do, I
yeah,
do think there's a possibility he doesn't play Isak because it's a three-game week, and
yeah.
he does have Gordon as an option. He won't start Wilson yet. He's still too soon for him. But I think it's a given. But I don't think he's injured, is what House suggesting.
Okay, nice try, Hal. Liverpool.
Yeah,
What's the latest there? Honest slot. He seems a little bit more reliable.
he is. Yeah, he's sort of taken over from Klopp. Actually, both of them are quite open.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because things are going well, and he has got no reason to lie
Yeah.
at the moment. But yeah. So Alisson's still not going to be available for this one. There was a slightly sketchy timeline on him. Um, Slot said he should return by the end of December. Now that's actually quite some time away, and a
Mm.
lot of game weeks in between. But then he also mentioned that it should take a few extra more days. So maybe he is playing some games with us there.
Oh,
But he's not going to be involved on this one. Neither is Simicast by the sounds of it. Canati and Bradley were ruled out for weeks on Sunday, so
okay.
we know they're red flagged. Diogo Jota, we think's out too. He hasn't been seen. Um, does that leave anybody else? I don't think so. Oh, yes, Chiesa. Yeah, he is back in training.
Mhm.
So he could be the first to return out of that lot.
Okay.
As usual, I'll point you towards the direction of the team news article on the site because there was a few decent quotes about the full back options he's got now that Bradley's out and Tsimikas is out and Alexander just back from injury. So there's a few good quotes on there if you want to head to the site and read those. I'll just quickly round up Newcastle, the rest of Newcastle as well, because we just dealt with, with Isak. That's all right, yeah, there's not much to report. I mean, there's Kraft, Botman and Lascelles are out. The one sort of other line of note was Burns been playing through the pain barrier with an ankle injury. But he got through Palace all right, and it sounds like he's going to play again.
Rightio. Okay. I mean, to be fair to Slot, though, if Alisson did return this weekend, it would be before the end of December. So he's not actually lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty more straightforward. So it probably is towards the end of December. Southampton against Chelsea. I'm going to go with Chelsea before Southampton because Chelsea traditionally midweek in Europe have been playing a completely different team. But we're all piling in with the likes of Palmer and Jackson and Colwell, etc., etc. So we're hoping he doesn't do that again. What's your feeling then for Chelsea?
Well, I haven't finalised a team selection yet, but when I did a bus team, if you can call it that, of the Chelsea 11, I did take out a few of the key names. I think you will see the likes of Madueke come back in. I think Felix could come back in, or Mudryk on the left. I think you'll see Gusto will probably come in. And I do wonder about Jackson, because Jackson is on 4 bookings. If he gets a 5th, he'll miss the Spurs game, which is, you know, a tougher test than Southampton away, with the greatest respect to Southampton. Well, they have been doing all right. So I do wonder, especially given his predilection for rotation in midweek in Europe and in the EFL Cup, I do wonder whether he might start Nkunku or Felix up top for this one. But it's just a hunch. Based on nothing whatsoever, and I'm sure there's lots of people who think that's a load of baloney. But I'll give you the team news anyway while I'm here on Chelsea. Nothing much to report, actually. James, of course, is still out. Fofana's the new addition to the injury list. He came off with a hamstring injury on Saturday. Maresco sort of said 4 to 5 weeks at the time. He's slightly backtracked on that and has been a bit more vague since, but it is going to be weeks, and he is going to miss this one.
And as for Southampton, now they're depleted, so us Palmer, Jackson, etc. owners will hope they're all starting, because Saints are short of bodies.
They are, to quite a magnificent extent, actually. Lallana, Larios, Ramsdale, Stewart, Bazunu, Smallbone, they're all on the injury list for starters. And then 3 who can't play because of suspension, all picked up the 5th bookings of the season on Friday. Harwood, Bellis, Diblin and Down. So they're all starters, those 3 as well. They're all regulars. On top of that, he can't play at Goodchukwu because he's on loan from Chelsea. And then there's 2 further doubts who Martin was more hopeful of, Onuachu and Bednarek. Bednarek's going to be in the squad, but they're not sure if he's going to be fit to start. And Onuachu, he just said he was hopeful. So at worst, it could be, 10 absentees for the Chelsea game.
Blimey.
Looks at the best, 10, so yeah.
Looks like Matt Letizia is going to be asked to...
Francis Benali,
Boot up Francis Benali. Get your boots on, lads. It's your time again. Arsenal against Manchester United. Seen a little flag on Gabriel. I didn't like that. But as ever, Arteta's on hand to let us know firmly, 100% either way, whether Gabriel's going to play.
Yeah, that flag isn't going anywhere when Arteta's giving you team news updates. There's obviously FPL go off the element of doubt, and Arteta always leaves an element of doubt with these updates. He wasted no time, actually, Arteta. He was quite efficient. He just grouped all the injuries together. So this is Gabriel, Thomas Partey, Mikel Merino, Lewis Skelly. Calafiori came off as well on Saturday. And he just said, we're going to have a meeting this afternoon. We're going to do a training session. And then after that, I'm going to decide which ones are fit and available. So
classic.
Well, we already know.
We will see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's classic Arteta. White and Tomiyasu are the only definite absentees. Gabriel did put a social media post up saying "see you on Wednesday" to Arsenal fans. So I'm taking that as a good sign.
Yeah, I'm taking the fact there was a pre-planned
I think so.
Weekend as well.
Same with Calafiori.
I mean, this is a big game. It's Manchester United. I know Manchester United aren't the force they once were, but it's Manchester United. Arsenal.
Agreed.
Pizza at the ready. Manchester United. What's latest for them?
Yeah, this was another one that was yesterday, so let me just dredge it back up. There we go. Yeah, 2 more suspensions. There was a lot on game week 13. Martinez and Mainu picked up their 5th bookings of the season, so they're suspended. Lindelof and Evans, we think, are still out. No word on their availability. But Yoro could be back, so he's not featured all season. He's had a foot injury. He's been in training, and he could make the squad. Probably not the starting 11, but he'll be in the squad. of more pertinence to fantasy managers, Bruno Fernandes was seen with a bit of an ice pack, I think, on his ankle after coming off against Everton, but he is fine.
That's fine.
Amorim said yesterday that he's fit to play and he's trained.
That's
It's all
fine.
right.
We've us veterans have seen his leg in plaster in a hospital
All right.
bed, and he's still a few hours later scoring for the team. So yeah, ice pack's nothing for him. Aston Villa against Brentford. Yeah, Aston Villa's goalkeeper. Will it be Martinez or not?
Yeah, there's some doubt about that. He's got a fissure, I think they call it, in his finger. So it's not like a complete break, but
A fish finger.
a fissure.
He's got a fish finger.
No, yes, a fishy finger. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's,
Okay.
if you're going to captain someone, captain Birdseye this weekend. Off the back of that news,
Wah, wah, wah.
I'll swiftly move on from that terrible gag. Yeah, he is a doubt. He's going to train actually today and see how the pain is. But it was enough to force him off against Chelsea. And Robin Olsen's on standby to deputise as he did against the Blues.
Right, yeah.
Two injuries still existing. Anana and Ramsey not quite ready to return. Anana's the closest, but not going to be in time for this one.
Okay, right, yeah. And as for Brentford,
Yeah, one new addition to the injury list. Matthias Jensen came off with a hamstring injury at the weekend. He's going to miss this one and probably game week 15 as well. Christopher Ayer still out, but he's back in training, so that's interesting. If you own Vandenberg, perhaps, because that's a possible challenger to his role. He won't feature today, probably not the weekend either, so just more medium term. Henry, De Silva, Hickey, and Nunes are still out as well.
rightio. Okay, let's move on to penultimate game: Fulham against Brighton. Fulham, from my memory, are quite a tricky customer for Brighton traditionally.
Yeah.
But what state are they in as Brighton visit?
Yeah, so this is the first of the four teams that haven't had press conferences yet, so they'll all happen tomorrow. So, well, what we know from Fulham, again, two more out suspended. Kearney was red carded, so he begins a 3-match ban. Sasa Lukic begins it's just a 1-match ban actually because it was 5 yellow cards, so they're definitely out. Anderson and Reed are injured as well. Cuenca had a knock that kept him out of game week 13, so it remains to be seen if he'll be back, but he won't start regardless. And that's all we're aware of. Actually, there was a line of note on Pereira as well. He wasn't in the squad against Spurs. Silva said it was a technical decision, and it wasn't at all based on an interview Pereira done with Portuguese media in which he said he would like to move to Marseille or words to that effect. Silva denied that it was based on that, but it seems very coincidental.
That's
And
similar.
it's rumbled on since.
That's similar for Henry VIII saying about Anne Boleyn. Yeah, my decision to behead her was more of a technical decision. Yeah, nothing to do with. Anyway, Brighton. What's the latest there? There's usually quite a lot of injuries here.
Yeah, and they're going to remain sort of uncleared up for the deadline. So Veltman missed out last Friday with a reportedly minor injury, but I've seen reports that he'll struggle to be back for this one as well.
Oh, okay.
Gruda was ill, so hopefully he'll be back. Mitoma and Ayari, now this sort of came out yesterday that they suffered knocks late on against Southampton. They did finish the match actually, I think both of those two. But both the Argus and Sussex World are reporting that they'll have to be assessed. Milner, Webster, and March, I think they're probably still unlikely. Kadioglu, Hurtula said last week that he was hopeful of him being back, but he didn't feature. And then I saw the Argus again saying yesterday that Hinchelwood could be back as well, so he's the one that could be returning from that injury list. But there's a lot of uncertainty there, so much, you're not going to be aware of until tomorrow.
Yeah.
When it'll be too late to do anything about it.
Yeah, it could be Stupinan and Lamptey again. I mean, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to call, but that's why they're not popular in FPL at the moment because we just don't know who's going to start. Fullback.
There was actually a hint from Hurtula that Dunt might return. I don't know if you saw this as well.
I think that'll happen.
He sort of said that he spoke to him before kickoff and he understood. Then he said he's going to help us in the next games, and he sort of talked him up a lot. And it sounds like he's going to come back for this.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really want to be using a substitute on a centre back as well, so I think it's going to be him and Van Heck for a little while. Okay, let's move on to Bournemouth against Tottenham. Final game.
Yeah.
So, what's the latest from Bournemouth?
Yeah, they'll have Semenyo back. I mean, provided he's not injured, but he returns from a 1-match ban on Thursday. Scott, Araujo, and Sinistera, I think, are out as well, injured. Lewis Cook's the lingering doubt. He wasn't raced against Wolves. He had some sort of muscular discomfort. But I'm not sure if he's going to be back for this one. Again, we won't find out until tomorrow. And anything else we're not too aware of.
Okay, and as for Spurs as well, Solanke missed game week 13 due to illness.
Yeah.
So yeah, will he be back?
Yeah, again, we're not know until tomorrow, but the fact that it was an illness and not the groin injury that seemed to be bothering him last Thursday is a good sign, hopefully. Again, much like Brighton here, a lot clear up and nothing too definite. I mean, we know that Vicario, Richarlison, and Odegaard will be out. It'll probably come too soon for Van de Ven and Moore, I think, based on what Postecoglou's previous said. It might even come too soon for Romero as well.
Okay.
He was described as being the closest to a comeback last Friday, but then he was asked again on Sunday after the Fulham match, and he said he was only with the sports science team at that point with Van de Ven, so neither of them had trained. So it might be Dragusin and Davies again. Solanke, yeah, Postecoglou said he was hopeful that he would be back. That's all we've got to go off. Archie Gray was taken off in that game with a dead leg or a knock. Again, Postecoglou was hopeful that's all it was, and then he'll be back. And Bentancur is definitely out. He's got a 7-match ban, so a lot to take in there, and not all of it is concrete team news, unfortunately.
Okay, rightio. Yeah, as usual, my dog is barking. That is because team news takes place between 3 and 3:30, and the schools end at about 3:15 around here. So basically, there's a lot of movement outside. There's kids starting to move around, parents going to collect their kids, and that kind of thing. And that is why there's always loads of barking at this time. So let's move on to team news roundup. So I'll quickly do that. So Bruno Fernandes, he's fine. Ice pack, Schmice pack, it doesn't matter for him. He's available. I could be back for Brentford. Questionable. Isak has ruled himself in. Hal ruled himself out. Let's see if he's shaking all about on the pitch. He's got the hip problem, so he's still questionable. Solanke illness, could be back, might not be. Romero unlikely, but could be. Matoma's got a knock, but could be fine. Same with the Iari as well. Kodioglu's toe problem could have resolved itself. Veltman's got a knock, but may or may not return. But we'll find out tomorrow, unfortunately, after deadline. Martinez's hand problem, his fishy finger, might keep him out there. Jensen's hamstring problems. Gabriel has got a knock. We will see, says Arteta. And he says the same about Partey as well, who could play at right back if he is fit, but he's got a muscle problem. In terms of out, Fofana's hamstring's going to keep him out. Alisson's hamstring issues going to keep him out for a few weeks, we think, until the end of December. So another week or two for him. Kanate, knee problems going to keep him out. Same with Bradley and Simicast as well. So all problems there at the back for some of those squad players at Liverpool. Harwood Bellis is suspended, so is Dibbling for a whole host of other Southampton injuries. Martinez and Mainu are suspended for Manchester United. Tunzabi rather has got a hamstring problem, is going to keep him out. Semedo suspended. John Stones has an injury problem. He is definitely out. I think we've got all the main ones there.
Yes, I think so, Joe. Yeah,
Excellent. Thanks a lot for your time. Good luck with the writing 1,000 words in the next few minutes ahead of the deadline, and we'll speak again this Friday. This Friday's team news ahead of Game Week 15 will be at 4:00. So hopefully there won't be so much movement outside for my dog, but also it'll be at 4:00 there. So do join us then. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care. See you soon.
Bye bye.